Welcome to Peeking Over the Fence, a podcast where we share real stories of healing and hope. We are your hosts, Missy and Karen, and we're so glad you're here. Hey, Karen.
Hey, Missy.
So we are recording episode 10, which is so crazy. I know we say that every episode, but I'm
We
glad
really are surprised.
we're really surprised that we're still here. Like we're just so thankful. And yeah, so we released episode 9 this week or last
Even
week,
though it says eight
even
on
though it
the
says 8. So I
inside.
hope that people saw our little post about that, because we were just too excited. I was too excited
We
when
didn't
we
get
got
any hate
engaged.
mail that we had our episodes wrong.
That's okay. Nobody said anything, nobody noticed, but and yeah, so this week's episode, if you saw the post that I made on Friday, and this is something that Karen and I have talked about for a long time, that we both have experience with, and we know a lot of people experience
Well,
this.
I think everybody has on some level.
Absolutely.
Every single person.
Every single person has some sort of experience or needs help with people pleasing. And I think as we get this conversation going, I can't wait to hear from other people as well. And especially people that have been able to overcome it and what they've done, because I think it's so important to share like what's
Well,
helped.
do we ever fully overcome it? I think
No,
we have the tendencies and
no.
we could do better.
Right.
Here we go.
Here we go.
We
So,
pre-gamed, guys, and we were like, okay, we're not going to say that. By
right.
the way, so we did our nutrition response testing episode about how I see sick people all the time, make them better. I have not needed an I think it's been at least 7 years since I've been on an antibiotic. And I got so sick last week, guys. I had to get an antibiotic. I was like, you're gonna die. If you if you don't get an antibiotic, you're gonna die. And
Right.
so one of the doctor that I saw is one of my friends, and so she did a virtual visit and FaceTime, in which I answered the phone. She said, "Oh, Karen, like it's so bad."
She's like,
And
what
so
is happening?
I am so much better. Like I'm up and moving, but I have a little bit of this going on. So
Yeah,
forgive me. I might cough a little and
you're
but I'm
fine.
so much better. But that's what's going on with my voice. I'm not crying, even though I might cry.
You might cry
I'm
in
not
a
crying through the
second.
whole thing. Yeah.
Right. So when we started talking about this, like we both have experience, and I think it can show up in different ways. So
Because we're
like,
nice girls.
right. And people pleasing, I think, can look different for a lot of different people, right? I think it shows up where um you need everybody to be okay. Like you need everybody around you to be okay.
Right. Like
And
if you're not okay, I'm going to make you okay so that I
right,
can be okay.
right,
And then we'll all be okay.
right. Or if you have, somebody that's going through something and you want to jump in and do something, like you feel like I have to fix this. I have to tell them, give them all these, options and things, right?
Yeah.
And then there's other people pleasing where you try to regulate your own emotions to make someone else calm, or um how do I put it? What am I trying to say here, Karen? Say it
How
for
you you're like, I'll start. And I'll go take a sip of my drink. You finish. How, um, excuse me, like I've had experiences where living with somebody who they would walk in and the whole temperature of the room change,
me.
right? And you feel like it's your responsibility to get them calmed down so that everybody else will be okay.
Right, right. So there's just so many different
I know,
scenarios to
and I feel
coping.
snippy about that right now. So, okay.
We may get a little snippy. We prayed before we started that God
Feel
would,
like those days are over.
right? Like, but and I talked about this in, like, I started talking about this. I made a post on Friday on our Instagram page, and it was talking about, how bitterness and resentment can come up from something that happened a long time ago. And either that person is still hurting you or still doing things that upset you, or they did things in the past, but it's hard to let go of that bitterness and resentment, right? And
Yes.
how do we do that? And I think
Mhm.
the first thing is recognizing where people pleasing comes from. It could be from, again, so many different ways. It's the way you're raised. If you're raised in a home that, you have parents that you need to kind of tiptoe around, like you just said, when somebody walks
Mhm.
into the room, the whole temperature changes, and you feel like you need to regulate your emotions, and you have to be careful about what you say to make them happy or
Because they
not upset.
lack the ability to self-regulate.
Right.
So you learn to turn yourself inside out
Mm,
to help them to regulate their emotions, whatever that takes. So you start being able, and a lot of people that are considered empaths and things like that, it's not like it's a special gift. It's because you've started at a very, very, very young age having to read the room, right?
I used to think that that was like, oh, I'm an empath. I am so in tune with other
I
people's.
have this psychic ability.
I'm like, and then I read when I went to counseling, and my therapist was like, that's not like a badge of honor. You know that comes from like trauma. And I'm like, what? I
Which
was
is
like,
also why we're so funny.
I thought I was so special. Like, I thought I was special. But,
Right.
being empathetic is great to a certain extent when you can be sympathetic to someone without it draining your energy, without you having to change who you are. That's great, being empathetic that way. I think people who look at it where I feel somebody's emotions, and you're basically predicting what they're going to do based on their emotions. That's a trauma response. That's more than just being empathetic. And so, that like kind of knocked me off my little high horse there for
I
a
know you're like,
minute.
what? I thought I was gifted.
I thought I was so special. And, and that can come from, like we said, so many different experiences through your life. Like, we all have these different experiences in our life that shape us to who we are.
Right. And this isn't the blame game. Like
Mm-mm. No.
we're in families and we all respond differently and we're
Right.
having, and every generation is doing the best that they can and,
Right.
from where they came from. And this is not a blame thing or anything like that. It's to help our listeners recognize this in themselves, which I'm sure by now most of us have, but
Right.
to
Mhm.
to, to relate
Right.
and to hopefully learn some new coping skills to move forward.
Right. And we come saying this because I always thought that, being a Christian, it can come with a set of unwritten rules that you are supposed to be this person, right? You're supposed to be selfless, and you're supposed to give of your time and your energy and
Mhm.
help people. Yes, you are, but when it comes at such a price that you are, first of all, someone's taking advantage of that, that is not healthy, and that's not biblical. Like, it's biblical to have boundaries. It really is. It's biblical. Jesus had them. He,
Hmm.
he had his people that he was closest to. He had his disciples that were close, but not as close. He had his followers. And he also took the time to retreat from everybody and had
Hmm.
alone
He's like,
time.
get away from me.
He's like, I've had enough. Like, let
Yeah.
me, like, I need to regroup. I
I need to
need to
go take a
pray.
nap. Yeah.
I need to take a nap. I need my energy back and I need to talk to God and I need to be able, and that's what helped him keep going and move forward is that alone time where he could re-energize, right? So it's not like something that we're just sitting here making up or a therapist makes up. This is biblical.
I
It,
remember having a pastor saying that the enemy doesn't need to get you to sin. He just needs to get you to be busy. And
right,
he can do that. Like you can be super active in church and
right,
doing all the things in church, but
right,
you're not filling your spiritual cup and you're not feeding your
right,
relationship with God. So
right.
it's actually this really, really good thing, or things that look like they're really, really good are actually separating you from God.
Right. It's your
So
heart. It's where your heart is. And it is true. Like these days, you could literally, and I did this for years. And I mean, for years, I was everything to everybody and totally drained myself and ended up so sick because I neglected myself. I put everybody first because when I was growing up, and again, every generation was doing the best that they could and what they thought was right. However, when I was raising kids, there was no alone time for moms. There was no,
mhm.
you know, girls' night
We didn't
out.
have Laura writing books saying, Mama,
We,
you still matter, right?
right. We didn't
And
have
be the
that.
best mom you can be.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like and it took years and years until I met one of my best friends that I actually felt like I had permission to go out once a month to Barnes and Nobles and be home by 9:30, right? There was no like, I mean, but what I'm saying is I I really did drain myself and I did not fill my own cup for a very long time. It was Steve, it was the kids, and it was everybody else. It was trying to, you know, make sure everybody else was okay. In the meantime, I was drowning and there was no, Karen, you're making my nose run.
So look, you're so empathetic.
I'm so empathetic. I'm my
And
nose is
you have
running.
physical symptoms of
I can
it.
feel it. I mean, you know, and it's we can laugh about this now because we're aware of it, but there are so many people that I know that are running themselves down
And
trying
I
to
think you know
be
how I am about Christmas, how I just like, I mean, I'm
right.
starting to get more into it, but there was like a year, I don't remember when it was. My girls were little and I just like crashed. Like I'd had it.
Right.
And, because we were running here and running there and buying
Right.
this, buying all these presents and this and that. And it just like, and, and I just, I couldn't do it. And
Hmm.
then all of a sudden I was like, I hate Christmas.
Right. And you
And
don't have to feel that way.
I know, and I'm still like, I'm just now to the point where I'm slowly like, okay,
Right.
like the house fire came at a perfect time.
Right. Right. Right.
Because I was like, this
It's
is
like God's way of saying, listen, we're stopping. Like we are slowing down. We are
right, which
stopping.
was a perfect example of, what Christmas is about. But I'm just saying, we put all this pressure
Hmm.
on ourselves. Well, there was a lot of pressure. There was this expectation of
Right.
visiting all these people and having the kids dressed perfectly and in
Right.
in the perfect presents and the perfect this. And then there's a budget and there's a
And then you got to take the perfect picture.
right. And then
And smile and act like we all love each other.
play along.
Meanwhile, it's like, yeah, I
I
get
know,
it.
yeah.
I get it. It's really,
But
it's
life can get like that.
life can get like
I
that.
mean, that's just a little example, a thing of how life can get overwhelming. And then it's just
Right.
like,
Right. And you have to, and it's, I think it's getting more talked about now for moms, um, especially moms, and I think it's dads too. I think men
oh
are
yeah.
definitely not given enough freedom to talk about their
Well,
emotions.
let's be honest. I'm gonna be really honest right now. And
Hmm.
this is probably gonna be a little controversial.
Uh-oh, here we go.
No, but like in the 1950s, doctors were giving women Valium and speed
Right,
so they could keep up.
right,
I mean,
right.
that is not okay and it's not
No,
healthy,
no.
and I
And now
know,
these days it's Wine Wednesday and it's
right,
girls'
and
night out.
Adderall.
Yeah,
And I mean, I even I mean, I thought I which I mean, I think we, ADD, whatever, but I even had when I started homeschooling Ella, I thought I needed Adderall. And
right,
and
right.
it was um it helped me focus, but it also was not healthy and it wasn't a
Right.
good thing for my personality because yeah, it was awkward. If you ask her about that time, she'll say, "Mom, that's when you were taking Ad." Like something will come up and she'll
Right.
say, "That's probably when you were taking Adderall." But it was for a short amount of time, and it was I mean, if you're taking Adderall, look, I'm not here to start a controversy. I'm just saying that um sometimes we're doing things so that we can perform,
Right.
right?
And also on the other spectrum, it's doing things to escape your life, right? Like if
Mm,
you need to do things that you are living a life that you need to escape from, that things have to change. You only live one life. And this will get me emotional, but one of the things that, like, one of my biggest regrets is not regulating my emotions, not working on myself. And I do forgive myself for what I did not know then. And I apologize to my kids all the time. But I one of my biggest regrets is like my kids seeing me yell and being out of control or being, to the point like I need a break from all of this. And that's normal. Like motherhood, being a parent, life in general is overwhelming. That's normal, but to feel like that all the time is not. And I think a lot of that came from trying to people please, to keep up a certain image, to try to be all things to everyone, and for my kids to live this life. And I wanted them to be happy. Meanwhile, I'm completely drained. And I'm
you
like,
gotta be
yeah, and I
happy.
mean, I remember locking myself in the bathroom and like putting a show on for the kids, and I'm just bawling in the bathroom.
Right.
And so,
The
yeah,
good news is they probably just remember watching a good show.
right. And they're
Because
like,
I've talked to my
what?
girls about it too, my older
Right,
girls, and they're like they don't remember.
right. Thank
Yeah.
God.
And I'm like, all right.
Because there were days, I mean, there were
Yeah.
days where I just thought, I am just so drained and I'm overwhelmed, and life is hard. And I feel like if we could just tap into that feeling, or like the knowledge of we do not have to be everything to everybody. It's okay to say no.
Right.
It's okay to say no. It's okay not to it's just okay to say no. And I don't I remember this clearly, and this was probably like 4 or 5 years ago. And I met a new friend down here, and she was going through a lot. And I remember I was so sick, and it was the first time that I ever had the courage to do this. And she called me or she texted me, and she said, "Can you talk? I'm going through this really hard time right now." And I said, "I'm so sorry. I have zero energy to give you right now. And I'm very sorry that I can't be that for you. I can, is there anyone else that you can call? Because I really don't have the energy to give it to you right now. And I felt so guilty over that.
At least you responded.
Well, yeah, but I felt really guilty because I'm the person who I will give you advice. I will, drive
Listen,
to
and
you. I
yeah.
will listen. I will do whatever. And I've learned that, there are things that God taught me in my hard times. There were lessons that I needed to learn. If I'm constantly helping someone fix things and do all this stuff, I'm blocking the blessings that God is trying to give them or the lessons that he's trying to teach them. Like we all have these journeys that we're on and these lessons that is trying to teach us.
And if that would have been your thing, he would have given you what you needed,
Right, right,
right?
right.
Like I shared with you, right, just before we did the podcast, I received a message on Messenger on Facebook from a friend that I've done a lot of life with.
Hmm.
Her daughter was in my TNT and confirmation. She was a mentee, and it was just so sweet, like thanking me for mentoring their daughter and being a friend to her. These really, really nice things she was saying. And then she said, I want to give her a shout out, but I'm not going to because I think she meant for it to be private. But she said she listened. So
Well, thank you.
yeah, she said, and then I asked her what made her do that. And she just said that they were going through some hard times and she just remembered that influence. And she said she listens to the podcast and thanked us for our vulnerability ability. But
Mhm.
something prompted her to send that.
Right.
Because I'm sure, I mean, all these days have gone by. I haven't talked to her in a long time.
Mhm.
And it was like God knew like that. I needed that little that little push.
Right. Right.
And I've, from that connection to my past,
Right.
that those people do matter and they can come to my future with me.
Right.
Um, and and they're not like, oh, see you later,
Mhm.
off you go,
Right. I don't
you
know
know.
that girl anymore. And
Yeah,
I'm not, instead of saying, hey, I'm so happy for you. And that's what you got today is that little confirmation of someone in your past saying, I'm happy for you.
I'm
I
happy
see
for
what's
you
going
and
on
you
and I'm
mattered,
happy.
and I'm so thankful for your influence,
Right.
and I'll never forget, and it sticks with me, and we're still friends, and
Right.
yeah.
And those things matter. And sometimes you have the capacity to be that friend for somebody and sometimes you don't.
And that's what I mean. Like
Yeah.
for some reason today,
Hmm.
God gave her what she needed for that.
Right.
And
Right.
it wasn't, it was just, and we've all been on that side where, Missy, I know you well enough to where I know that you've poured into so many people,
Right.
right? And you've given so much when you can, but that day you couldn't, and it wasn't your job or space to.
Right. And it's
Mhm.
okay. It's okay to say no when you are at capacity or you have so much going on in your life. It's okay to say no. And you know, that's what I think the point of this episode is that, giving yourself permission to feel overwhelmed. Like it's okay to feel overwhelmed. And it's okay to say no. And it's okay to not be everything to everybody. And it's just okay. Like we live in a world right now that takes and takes and takes, and it's so busy and overwhelming. Like I crave quiet. Like, I mean, I can't tell you, like, I'll be cleaning the house and it'll be quiet. And Steve's like, put some music on. Like, how do let's listen to some. I'm like, you don't understand. Like, I love quiet. I don't need the television on. I don't need all the noise. I just like to sit. And I think I think we all need to find that for ourselves. It's like those moments of quiet. And I know it's really hard to get, especially if you have little ones or your life is really busy, but it fills your cup. Like it really does fill you up. It gives you the energy to go back into the world to be all those things, right? Like I feel like if you take the time to, you know, and this goes back to our other episodes. If you take the time to take care of yourself and you give your body what it needs and you feel good and you take that time to regulate your nervous system and take that quiet time, you can go back into the world and do those things. I had no idea how to do that. I had
I
no,
know. I'm gonna pimp out Laura's book, Mama, You Still Matter,
yes,
by
yes,
Laura Heflin,
yes.
because
I
she's got
so
all
wish
of
I
these
had
little
that.
principles and it's not like obviously you have children, and so you can't just be like, I live by myself, so that's easy for me to say, right?
Right. But when your kids were little,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So, but it's all these little tips for when you have littles and
Right.
how to take care of yourself in the middle of having the littles.
Right.
Um,
And
yeah,
one
I
little
mean,
thing that popped into my head about children, and you know, we both have adult children now. You have grandchildren, and the one of the things that I that I had to learn, and this is so hard, is that I heard this a few years ago. It says you cannot save your child from their testimony, or you can't protect your child from their testimony. And if you don't know what a testimony is, it's basically your story, your how you became,
how you come out to the other side,
how things that you've gone through, like, you know,
your
that
grit.
your grit, right? And so you can't save your child from going through things because that's how they learn. But if you keep jumping in to save them, how are they going to learn? And so sometimes being a parent and you know sometimes and even as having adult children, we're still parenting our kids. It doesn't stop at 18, I can promise you that. Like, and I don't want it to stop. I love when my kids call me and ask me or talk to, you know, ask me questions or
Hmm.
just call to talk. Like that means the world to me. Um, but sometimes being a parent is like standing there with your hands tied behind your back.
Yeah, and I don't know that I
Yeah.
would even call it parenting in the adult phase because
Right.
we're it's like they're adults. And
Hmm.
we're lucky they let us in because they could just be like,
Right.
Nora.
Right. Right.
You
And
know,
I think mothering becomes different. It becomes just
right.
a different role. It's still loving and, you know, being there for them and letting them talk and that kind of stuff. And sometimes it's like, do you want me to listen or do you want my advice or do you want
Right.
both? Because I can do either or. And I
Right.
don't always get that right.
I'll be like, how do you feel about that?
Right, 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 right. What do you think? You know, and so I think I think as women, you know, even if you don't have kids, you do play a lot of different roles, right, in your life. And I think that we tend to give a lot of ourselves. And we have to be very clear. And I think in my 50s, I'm finally getting it. I wish that I would have had this confidence in my 20s, but you know, whatever. Um, that what if something makes you uncomfortable, if something doesn't sit well with you, or you don't have the time or energy, it's okay to say no. No is no, and you can move on without feeling guilty.
Lisa Turkis has a great book. It's an older book. It's called I think it's called The Best Yes. Your
Yeah,
best yes, the best yes. And
yeah.
basically what it's saying, every time you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else.
Hmm.
So she talks about how, she had set these goals to write her book. So she had time in her schedule and that was her time. So no matter, and she like tells like, she's like, there's a pile of poop on the floor where the dog pooped. And she's like, and it was during my schedule writing time. So I didn't clean it up. Like,
Right. Right. I will get to that in a minute.
yeah. And so, but excuse me, and then and the feeling of when someone's like, can you make this dish for this or can you
Right,
do that? And she's like, no, I can't. I
right,
can show up in other ways, but I can't do that.
right, right.
And yeah, it's a great book. It's an easy read and it's a really great book and it has stuck with me. I mean, I read it years ago, but
I read it too a long time ago, and I really think that is a good place to kind of get some tips on things and just encouragement. And I think one thing that I didn't touch on is that there are going to be people that are not going to like that version of you. They are just not going to like the version
right.
where you say, I don't have the brain capacity, I don't have the energy right now, I don't want to talk about those things, or I can't do that right now, or I can't be that for you right now. I don't have the time to do those things, but I can help in another way. There are going to be people that don't like that version of you, and that's okay. What they think about me or you or anybody else that's listening, that's none of our business, honestly. I feel like it's not my business. If you're upset, I'm sorry. Let's talk about it. I'll explain it to you why I can't do those things. I love having conversations. Like, let's go deep. I will
But you don't
talk.
have to. You don't
But
have
you
to
don't
have a
have
re
to.
like, it
No.
depends on who it is, right? It
Right.
depends on who it is.
Right.
And no is a complete sentence.
Absolutely.
And that's just
Absolutely.
that. You don't, it's
Right.
fine.
And it is okay. Like, it's okay if someone's upset with you, as long as you are respectful and clear and you are setting a boundary that of something that could potentially hurt you in some way, right? You're starting to
Hmm.
set boundaries of things that you need to set to protect your, I hate to say like these little catchphrases, but protect your peace. What does that mean? You're protecting what you're creating, the life that you're creating for yourself. When you're clear about what you want your life to look like and you start making decisions based on that decision, not everybody's going to be happy about it. And that's just how,
Let's go a little deeper, Missy.
okay.
And what is people pleasing really? I mean, there's like
Right.
fear of rejection,
Absolutely.
fear of conflict,
Hmm.
right? Because you don't want to make somebody upset. I
Right.
mean, I can remember like actually lying to people
Right.
please,
Oh yeah, for sure.
like making up lies and stories of because I knew like this person would want this version and that person would
Right.
want that version. And it's like,
Right.
it's exhausting.
You know what else? It's changing who you are for different people. It's becoming a
Yeah,
different version of yourself for different people because you want everyone to approve of you and to like you. And so you become a different person for each. You don't tell this part of your story to this person. You
right.
don't talk this way in front of someone else. You don't, you just need to be yourself. And if people don't like you or accept you, then they're not your people.
Mm-mm. And there's so much freedom in like breaking through that and just being like,
Right.
this is it.
This is me, right?
And then we have the need to be needed.
Mm.
I don't really feel like that because I feel like I've had so many.
I'm over that.
Yeah, I
I'm not at
don't
that
feel
point
like
anymore.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm over that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
And
please
then
don't need me.
yeah. Yeah, like I'm fine. Ask someone else. It's fine.
Right,
It is
right,
really fine.
right.
Sometimes I'm like, don't even invite me. Like
Don't invite me.
because
Yeah,
it's like it just turns in yeah,
right,
Tim is gonna laugh because he said that I'm the most extroverted, introverted person he's ever
right,
met. Because I'll
right,
be like, I don't want to go.
right.
How many people
Well,
are gonna be there? And then I get there and
right.
I'm like, hey.
Hi, and I think it's true. And I think when you're around people, around certain people, and you feel drained, that is a big indicator that you're giving too much of yourself. That is a big indicator. So if you're in a conversation with someone and you hang up or you walk away and leave them and you feel emotionally drained, that is a big indicator that they are draining your energy.
Hmm.
And let's touch on this one too, because I feel like we both can, we're going to be careful. Um, you know, and this is not, this is not one of our do not talk about.
We have a list,
We have a list.
imaginary list.
So I think a lot of it too comes from shame, like shame of like you people please and you say the right things because of your past. Like there are things in my past that, people know about me and no, I'm not that person anymore. And that shame has kind of left me. Honestly, like I feel like God is like I've talked to him enough that he's like, you are not that girl anymore. And we've
Hmm.
had conversations about that, but you can definitely be a people pleaser from a place of shame.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, for sure. And there are things that, you know, we talked about this today.
Yeah, for sure.
Right, like
Yeah.
like one of the things I'll say at Missing, we're actually going to do a podcast on shame, and one of the things is I've actually been married twice before, but when I did my, when I talked about it, I only alluded to the last divorce because there is shame connected to that, even though it was a
Right.
whole different set of circumstances. It's not,
Right.
it's between me and God and that person, and it's way over and it's fine. But I'm like, why didn't I just say that out loud and get it
Right.
into the open? And
Right.
it's like fear of judgment,
Hmm.
fear, like but does it matter? I mean, it's the truth. It doesn't
Right.
matter. And
Right.
it's not like God isn't using me, and it's not like I'm not a good person
Right.
but and even like saying that out loud now, I'm like, oh gosh, forget.
Here we go. No, but I mean, that situation, and we'll talk about that more a different time, was like you said, completely different circumstances and
Yeah.
handled completely different. It was not the same. And
Mhm.
the fact that you just had the courage to say that is huge, and I thank you for being vulnerable because I feel
I'm not
like
really getting enough air in my brain right now. So,
you're still really sick.
so who knows what's going to come out?
Karen's gonna text me. We're gonna edit that part out.
I know, get the beep, 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 beep button.
We're gonna beep out a few things. No, but I think it's so brave to say those things out loud because there are so many, like we
And the
all have
enemy will use
stories.
that. He will use that. He's, psh, 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 psh.
The fact that you had shame about it or reservations about saying that comes from the enemy. God's not ashamed of you. Like he's
It's
not
not a
ashamed.
secret. Anybody who knows me knows,
Right.
but not
Right.
necessarily our listeners. And I don't know if like
Right.
all of Tim's friends know. Well, he
Right.
probably, I mean,
Well, they do
he.
now. Well, welcome to the podcast.
If they listen. Yeah.
Karen's let it all out today.
Sorry. Cheers.
No,
This
but
is water, I promise.
I I get it. And I mean, I remember over the years of not telling people I had a child at 19 and it was from a previous relationship. But you know what? Like there's no shame in that because I got my oldest son from that
And he's
situation.
amazing.
And
Can you
honestly,
imagine this world without Billy?
no, I don't even want to think about it.
Right?
Like
Like, oh my gosh, he's amazing.
when he was born, it changed. He saved my life. Like I was going down a really bad path. Like I really was. Like I had no direction in my life. And what so many things changed when he was born, but it stopped me. It changed my focus, and I can't imagine. And I get upset at myself for ever feeling like I needed to hide that part of my life to anybody. And now I'm like, yeah, I had a kid at 19, and I had another one before I got married. And we got married, and both of our Billy and Cassie were both at our
Mhm.
wedding. And so what? What do you
And
want,
they were so cute.
and they were adorable and whatever, and God still like, and Steve and I are still together. Like, you know,
Right.
we're still together, and that's part of our testimony. That's part of our story, that, these two kids, and I had a kid. I met him, and like we met and we fell in love, and we had a messy, 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 story, but and a lot of heartache and all that stuff. And it's like there's nothing to be ashamed of. There's no reason for me to sugarcoat that with anybody. Like, this is my life. This is who God intended me to
Mhm.
be, and he grew who I am now out of those circumstances.
And
So,
imagine the lives that you could when you tell that story. And gosh, we don't really want to get, we'll kind of, because we'll get into this in another podcast, but
right,
the young woman in those shoes, the
right,
young 19-year-old, and
right,
then here's another baby,
right,
and then
right,
here's imagine the power that we'll have, or the people that are, saying, "Oh my gosh, look at her."
right. Who does she think she
Right.
is?
And then they're going to be, but like, look at Missy Wiseman. That
Well,
was her
yeah,
story.
look at Billy, who is 31 years old, and he's doing great. And look at Cassie, who's 29 and
They're
doing
both
great. And
amazing.
you know what? And look at me and Steve, still married. And what else do you got to say?
That's
Next.
right. No,
Like,
but that, no, but what I'm saying
right.
is like they're
Yeah.
looking at their people
Right. Oh,
and
yeah.
being like,
See, I'm
oh,
fired up.
I know you're
I took that a different way. I was like getting my earrings out. Like,
no, no,
what?
no. No,
Yeah.
I'm saying they'll look at
Mhm.
you and be like, oh,
Right.
oh, this is
Yeah.
this is redemption. This is
Right.
God made something beautiful out of that. Like, these little lives came into the world and
Right.
they're off doing their wonderful little things. And
Right. And
um,
that's what I look at. It's like God uses a situation that I thought was so, like, I didn't know what direction things were going to go. God used the circumstances and just kept building and building. And what a beautiful story he's created.
mm,
And it's just and so many blessings in that. So what I'm saying is that, what I used to have shame about or not want to tell my story, it's like, and you look at it from a place of God, you used me to create, like, to make this story, and these incredible people that he put in my life. How can you feel like that? Like, how can, like, I'm talking to myself, and I used to say that to myself, how could you actually feel that way? But there are a lot of people that have, that people please from a place of shame. And, God loves you. He's not like, if you feel shame, it's coming from the devil. It's not coming from him. God doesn't.
I mean, the Holy Spirit will correct us, right? And that kind of
Absolutely.
thing. That's not what Missy's talking about. She's
Mhm.
talking about like, I can't tell my true story
Right.
at this Bible study, even
Right.
though they're asking.
Right.
Um, and then also, and like in Galatians 1:10, am I trying to win the approval of people or of God?
Right.
Right?
Right.
And I mean, and all of that, the lying to
Yeah.
different people, trying to be like this person for this, group and that
Mhm.
person for that group, and
Right.
or whatever, or not telling the full story, or
Yeah.
um um we want to be obedient to God.
Right.
But I will tell you, when I was going to Africa, some of our family members were really upset and not understand.
Right. Like, what are
And
you doing?
and
Why
that
are
was
you going? Yeah.
and that was hard. because I remember Aunt Mary Chalmers, I think it was at Uncle Jimmy's funeral, grabbing me and being like, how can you upset your mother like this? How can
Right. 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 Like, what is wrong with you?
why would you upset her like this?
Right.
And I get it. I mean, I
He was
and
afraid for your safety.
well,
Yeah.
and guess what? Like the same thing with my girls, you know.
Right.
But I was I wanted to be obedient to God. And those trips were blessed. And I don't know that there's anybody, my mom, when she talks about Africa, like she carries those stories with her in her heart too. And she has,
Right.
the little wooden things and that I've brought back. And,
Right.
she talks about when she got the message that I have, like, Mom, everything's fine, but I have malaria, you know?
I told you. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I really want to talk about that. I think that is when we need to bring Jackie on and we need to talk about your experience there because there are so many beautiful stories and a lot of heartache. But
Did you
there's,
start reading the book?
I did
The
Jackie's
part
book.
real was a caveat when the part where she talks about walking into the hospital
I don't know if
when
I'm,
the baby, when the deformed baby was there. Do you?
I didn't get to that point yet.
Oh, so I was in that. I remember her walking through the door.
Wow.
And so when I read that, I was like,
Right. So we're talking about a friend who is now my friend. I haven't talked to her yet, but we've texted Jackie who wrote a book and Karen, you met her in Africa, correct?
hmm.
Yeah. So she wrote a book and I've started it and it is so good and it's so interesting to hear her perspective. And now she lives in Africa
Hmm.
and she is in service there.
Yeah, the first time I went to Sierra Leone with her, she was like, it was her first mission trip. She was a nervous wreck.
Right.
And now she lives there. Like
And now
that's
she
like the
lives
kind of thing
there.
God does. Like she and her husband
Right.
packed up and moved. So
Right.
yeah.
So yeah, we'll
Anyway,
have to do
we'll
a
have her,
podcast.
we need a little pump me up. She will bring the house down, guys.
Love
I'm
it.
telling you
Yeah.
what, we'll have to figure out the time change though, because I'm sure she's in bed when we usually record.
Right.
Um,
So going back to the people pleasing part and when you like how scary was that to like tell your family I'm going to Africa and
I was probably
knowing
like, the knowing me, I was probably like, oh, I'm not ever going back again. Meanwhile, I'm signing my papers.
By the way, I leave next week.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think when God calls you to something, and that whether that's going to Africa on a mission trip or just setting a simple boundary, whatever that is, if you're being obedient to God, then there's no question. Like there's just no question. And I encourage you to look up scripture about people pleasing and see that it is biblical about boundaries and that God even did it. And
Yeah, Jesus didn't please everyone. And he talks about
no, he
shaking the
didn't.
dust off your feet. Like if people don't want you there, you just shake the dust off and you
Right.
go.
I mean,
Um,
Jesus was crucified because he wasn't a people pleaser. He wasn't telling people what they wanted to hear.
he disappointed people. He didn't heal everyone,
No, he did
right?
not.
He withdrew from the crowds.
Yes.
He told the truth even if it offended.
Right. Right.
So
Mm.
I thought like, well, I would just lie.
I would
What? I
try.
will say this, my older girls, well, especially Janie. She would tell the people not say, Janie, just tell them this. And she'd be like, no, I'm not lying.
Janie's like, Janie will tell you exactly how it is, and she has no problem with that.
And not blink. And I'm
And
so
not
proud. And you
like,
know what? And it's helped me because she's like,
right,
this is just how it is. And it's just, I feel she's so brave.
right, right, exactly. And I think it's so important to understand the biblical part of it and understand your boundaries and the life that you want to live and execute on that. And it's not always easy. It's taking small steps. It's
She did
taking,
grow into that though. I have to tell you, when she was in
yeah.
high school, she was going to do color guard and then she like went to practice and she's like, I don't want to do this. And so
Right. Right, right,
and so
right,
then she said, I could tell something was wrong.
right,
Excuse me.
right.
And they were like, if you do this, you can't go to birthday, but you got to give your life up pretty much. I went to the meeting and I was like, are you sure you want to do this? And she's like, no. And then I was like, well,
No,
you
I
don't have, I
don't.
said, look, I don't care. Don't do it. And she's like, I was thinking about throwing myself down the steps and breaking my arms and I don't have to do it. So she grew into the
Right,
to the
right.
Janie that she is
And
now.
you know what else I think is important to touch on is, and I grew up, I went to Catholic school, but I didn't grow up in a Christian home. And so a lot of what I learned was from the Catholic faith, and I'm so grateful for that because I got an understanding of who God was. Um, I think it's different now, but when I went to Catholic school, it was just like you're going to hell no matter what. Like it was
You're
just
doomed.
like you're doomed, just you're going to hell. And so
Excuse me.
a
Mhm.
lot of that stuck with me, and it was a lot of that guilt. And I remember like in high school and the things that the nuns used to say to me. And I know it's a lot different now. Like it's not so um
They've come a long
regimented.
way.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's not so regimented like it was back then. But and like I said, there's a lot that I'm grateful for that time, but also there's a lot of confusion when it comes to being a Christian and trying to put up those boundaries as well, right? Because I feel like there's so much information out there and you can be on social media and half of social media is telling you cut off everybody, in your life and set up boundaries and blah blah blah, right? And then you have the other spectrum is like forgive everybody and give of yourself and the extreme part of it. So I think there's a lot of confusion of how to be a Christian and set boundaries, but also in a way that you're communicating the truth and you're not sacrificing yourself, but also being a good Christian. Can you talk on that a little bit? Because I need help with that.
Well, specifically forgiveness. Forgiveness doesn't always mean reconciliation,
Mm,
right? So, so
right,
it's constantly God, giving it to God. And then the other thing is remember the spiritual warfare piece,
right, right,
that our battle isn't with flesh and blood.
right.
But so it
We do
depends.
a podcast on that, and I forgot already.
I know we need to go back and listen to our
I need to
podcast.
listen again.
Well, and I know, and that's the thing is these are, you don't just arrive,
Hmm.
right? We always have to put our armor on, or we
Right,
end up in the same spaces.
right,
So, sometimes you can't, these people are in your life,
right,
right? And it's like figuring it out and waiting until you're in the right headspace to talk, or um
right,
it's it's hard. It's easier if you're if we're talking about like former spouses, or you know
right,
what I mean?
right,
Because um forgiveness is not necessarily reconciliation,
right, right.
right? You can be like, that is not mine, take
I
it, and not
forgive
have
you,
any
but
feeling. Yeah,
yeah,
that kind of
we're
thing.
not we're not communicating anymore. Yeah,
And maybe it's somebody, the relationship changes, like a friend or something like that. Like you don't necessarily cut them out completely, but you're like, okay, like this is a pattern. This is we're
right,
not doing this.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that that is important to remember that that is such a key point of it is that forgiveness does not mean reconciliation, and that sometimes you have to forgive without actually ever getting an apology or ever having a conversation about what the wrong was or what the problem was, and that you just have to keep giving it to God over and over and over again. Sometimes
Mhm.
it's daily, sometimes it's
It's hard because sometimes you'll hear what's been said about you,
hmm
right? And
right,
and you're like,
right. And then you have to really tap into that and you have to give it to God and say, I know
yeah.
this isn't true.
And remember
I
that
know
he
it's,
fights our battles.
and he fights our battles. So
Yeah.
if we're talking specifically to someone who is struggling with the people pleasing, um,
Well, I think there's a couple questions that they can ask themselves.
yeah,
Like before saying yes, you're overextended.
mm,
And you're the person everybody comes to. We all know the people that are doing everything because they don't say no. And they're running
right,
around, they got dark circles under their eyes, and they're
hmm
pause before saying yes.
right,
Practice that.
right.
Don't just say yes.
That's so good.
And then ask, are you afraid of their reaction? And
Mm.
if you are, that's probably a good reason to say no
Oh, that's a good
because
one.
they're
Yeah,
not your friends,
yeah,
right? They're not, it's never, and honestly, if you're afraid of their reaction, you're gonna say yes this time, but I mean, you can't just keep doing that for your whole life,
no.
right? You have to be comfortable sitting in the discomfort. I'm
Mm.
pretty good at it now, like with like not
Let
following
me
script.
let you just say that one more time.
To sit with the discomfort
You
because
know,
it can be like this ick feeling.
I ran from anything uncomfortable my entire life until probably like, I don't know. I think when Aubrey died, honestly, it just it broke me and I was not the same person anymore. And I literally could not tolerate BS. I could not tolerate BS anymore. And it took me a long time to act on it, but I feel like when that happened, it was just like, I can't do this anymore. And it kind of progressed. And then I just remember so clearly if I never wanted to feel discomfort and I ran from it. But honestly, in the place of discomfort, that's where you grow. Like there is a point in your life that you will be between two things, and I always say it's the in between that sucks. You're in between making a decision and something actually happening, and you have to sit and wait, and it's uncomfortable and it sucks, and it's just discomfort. And I think we all run because we think that we're chasing comfort in our lives all the time. And that's not. Appreciate when it happens, but it doesn't always happen. And there's always going to be places of discomfort in our lives where we have to sit in it and we have to take a moment and say, what is God trying to teach me right now? And
Mhm.
I
And
mean,
if you're uncomfortable because you've said no to something,
right,
I think then you need to say, were you afraid of the reaction?
right,
Like, were
right.
you afraid of what were you afraid of?
Yeah,
What
like
was the
sit in
thing?
it for a minute and really
Hmm.
think about why you feel so uncomfortable and
And
where
then
that's coming from.
and then back to the best yes.
Hmm
Accept that obedience comes at the cost of someone's approval sometimes.
Mm,
And that's hard because we have these people in our lives that we love so much, but
right,
we're feeling called to do whatever. Thankfully, everybody seems to be a fan of the podcast, but
right,
if they
right,
weren't, we would still be like,
right,
we have to do this, right?
right. Well, and I think for me personally, this was because I know other Christians in my life, right? I do. but there's not a lot of them, especially that are, some of them are lukewarm. Like they just kind of believe, but it's just like, holidays and things go to church. There's other people that I know that read the Bible and who have a relationship with God. But for me, it's like I never really talked about my relationship with God openly because I was so worried what other people were going to think. And now I'm just like, how can I not talk about him?
Right. And you never want to come across like I'm better than you because of
Mm-mm.
this, or I'm because God doesn't think that. God doesn't love us more than he loves anybody else, right? And we're
Right.
just figuring it out. I mean, we
Listen,
have
I will
busted
be
knees and twisted ankles and
right.
trying to
I
get there.
will be the
We had to
first.
pray over our mouths before we started this because we were just like, we were like, what did you say, Missy, when you prayed? You said,
I said
what is that word that you use? Don't let us be too
snarky.
snarky. And I was like, who's she calling snarky? No, no, I know who she
So
was calling.
it's
So, like, it's not like we're holy, like, we're in it. We are in this real life and
right,
we want to follow Jesus.
but I don't
He's
always get it
right.
right.
Right. And and he's not looking for perfection,
Mm-mm. The thing
right?
is, I talk about Jesus, I talk about God because I want other people to experience his love and how he's changed my life. Like I know what he's done in my
Yeah,
life, right? And
right.
I know what he's done in my life and I know what he's done in other people's lives. I don't I don't by any means talk about him to put anyone down, and I especially don't
Right.
talk about him to say like I know everything because I can tell you right now you could quiz me and I will fail. Hands down will fail. But there is a sermon and it really resonated with me. It was about the two men on the crosses when Jesus was crucified. And I won't get this right because again, my brain, but the man on the cross that got into heaven, the angels are like, who are you? How did you get in? And he's like, I don't know. The man in the middle cross said I could come. And he's like, well, do you know like the doctrines? Do you know the Lord's Prayer? Do you know all this? He's like, no, I don't know any of this stuff. And they're like, well, let me go get my supervisor because why you're here. And, it's only because he believed. It's only because he believed.
Hmm.
And like that's what it comes down to. It's not about all of the show. It's not about all of that stuff. It's about knowing God, and that's why I talk about Jesus and God. It's about my relationship with him,
Right. You're
and
like, right.
like
Right.
that's what I want you to know. I want you to know the version of God who loves you that is not that loves all of you, every piece of you, every broken part of you, all of it, because I'm that girl. Like, I'm
Mm.
that girl. Like, I am broken and I'm bruised and I have been beat up and kicked and all that kind of stuff, not physically, but
Remember last time Steve was like, he threw
let's make that disclaimer right now. I'm not getting beat at home. That's not happening. My husband is great. We have a great relationship, but I not everybody in my family is a believer, and I'm not going to talk about like calling anybody out, and that's okay, but that's no longer a reason for me to not talk about
Right.
God.
And the thing is, the Holy Spirit will open when,
Right.
that's who opens the hearts,
Right.
right? We're
So
doing this thing here. And hopefully they're listening because we're fun
we love you.
and they love us.
Right. So there's so much to people pleasing. Like it's such a big topic and it's so complex and it comes from I think a lot of it comes from shame and a lot of it comes from, that deep need to be accepted and loved.
Hmm.
And but if it comes at a cost to you, then it's time to kind of take a look at the bigger picture
Hmm.
and kind of dig deeper to find out why you're doing that.
Right. Maybe as we wrap up, we can say like some reflection questions like,
Right.
where are you exhausted from trying to keep peace?
Mm,
Right?
I'm not answering that one.
No, no, we're not going to answer
We're
these
not
out loud.
answering these questions. We're putting them out for people to reflect on. Yeah.
Yes. Where are you silencing yourself?
Mm,
Mhm.
that's a big one.
Where might God be asking you to trust him with someone else's reaction?
Oh, wow. Those are good ones. That's a great place to end. That's a great place to end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope that our listeners enjoyed this, feel like they got something out of it. We love to hear your reflections and anything you have to add on your personal stories. Any way we can pray for you if you're really struggling with
Right.
an area. I know it's not that simple. We know it's not that simple. None of it's, we're here. We're here to pray for you and walk beside you on this.
Right. And
And
we love it because, I mean, so many people reach out after these episodes, and it's usually people I never expect. Like, it's always somebody like
right.
I haven't heard from in a while that listens, and it means so much that you trust us. We love to hear your stories, and we love to talk about this because it's so important for us to share these stories to help each other out and share experiences. So reach out to us, tell us what you think, tell
Yep.
us
And
if,
if there's like, yeah, and if you have any things that you'd like to hear Missy and I talk about,
oh, yeah, for
we're here
sure.
for it. Yeah. So,
Definitely, for sure. So thank you again, Karen, for being so open. I appreciate it. Don't
oh,
run and
thank
hide.
y'all gonna be like, Missy, we gotta
Right.
redo it. Yeah.
We're gonna click, post it and share it, and we're just like running and hiding every time. But no, seriously, like we hope that these podcasts land exactly where they need to land and they speak to the hearts of the people that really need to hear it.
Exactly.
So thank you,
Yeah.
Karen, and we will see you all next week.
All right. Sounds
All
good.
right,
Mwah.
bye.
Bye.